March 29th will, of course, be the rematch between Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan. First time they fought. A bit of controversy because not only was it a very close fight, very, very close fight, but paint was thrown on Sandy Ryan, which, of course, people say, oh, something doesn't matter, but like, he messes with people, so it will be interesting to see the rematch. And not only that, the co-main event will be Brian Norman Jr. defending his WBO welterweight championship against Derek Cuevas. Now, of course, Derek Cuevas is 27-1 with 1 draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. Of course, his 1 draw came back in 2015, majority decision to Samuel Santana, 6-10-2. And his 1 loss was to Damian Ezekiel Bonili, split decision, which is a very interesting one. If you look at Damian's record, that dude went on a huge losing streak, beat Cuevas, and then went back on a losing streak again. So, so I don't know how to feel about that loss. Could have been an off night, but yeah, it's just all red and then 1 green for Derek Cuevas and a bunch more red. But besides that, after that he went on a 4-fight knockout streak against some actual pretty good opponents. Damian Rodriguez and Marlon Aguas. Matter of fact, Marlon, after losing to Cuevas, actually beat an undefeated 15-0 fighter. So that win is actually doing quite nicely. But he is considered inactive. I mean, the fight was scheduled beforehand on the Keyshawn Davis, Gustavo Lemos undercard. But I think one of them got injured. But besides that, he will be taking on the champion Brian Norman Jr., 26-0, 20 wins by way of knockout. Quite the power puncher. Now, of course, he is coming off of his 10th round stoppage win against Giovanni Santillan for the interim WBO belt, which then was elevated after Crawford vacated. And some of his good wins go by Quinton Randall, unanimous decision, obviously Giovanni Santillan. And overall, pretty decent records. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter, considering the fact that he knocked out Giovanni Santillan in a very dominant performance. It was a bad beatdown. He had great shot selection. He had good defense. Great defense, even. And, of course, he had the power to knock him out. It was such a good performance that people were talking about who was the best at welterweight. Norman Jr. was actually starting to make a name for himself. Then Boots wanted to unify with him. He declined. Then he ended up a co-main event to, well, other people are saying a woman's card, so now they're making fun of him a little bit. But besides that, he is still one of the best in the division. And who's going to win this fight? To be honest, it's a very tricky fight because although Derek Cuevas has some good technical skill, he has a lot of power, and he's twitchy too, so that's always bad. A twitchy, powerful fighter, that ends badly. But Cuevas' defense, not saying it's bad, but it's not the best, not elite, right? And considering Norman Jr. really is a good shot picker, I think he just kind of pierces through Cuevas' guard, managing to find openings, and ends up stopping Cuevas. Matter of fact, I don't think he stops Cuevas. I think he goes decision. I think Cuevas has enough power to make Norman respect him. He has enough skill to really make his offense mean something. He's twitchy, meaning if Norman Jr. makes a mistake, Cuevas kind of will punish him. I think he has the ability to do that, which of course will keep Norman Jr. on his toes. But I think Norman Jr. lands the bigger shots. I think he's the more consistent power puncher of the two, and he wins a unanimous decision. But besides that, the main event, Michaela Mayer will now be defending her WBO welterweight title against Sandy Ryan, the former WBO title and the former WBO champion. Now, of course, Sandy Ryan is 7-2 with 1 draw, 3 wins by way of knockout. Of course, her losses include Erica Annabelle Farias, split decision, and of course, Michaela Mayer. Her 1 draw came via split decision to Jessica McCaskill for the unified welterweight championship. So a very good fighter. Of course, Michaela Mayer is 20-2 with 5 wins by way of knockout. Her other loss was to Alicia Baumgardner for the undisputed super featherweight championship. Now, of course, she is the former super featherweight world champion, holding the IBF and WBO belt. But weirdly enough, it was split decision. People thought Mayer kind of pulled it off, and people thought that there should have been a rematch, but there wasn't. Oh well. Her other loss was a split decision to Natasha Jones, IBF for the IBF Welterweight Championship. That, again, I think people believe Mayer should have got the win, but she didn't. But she ended up champion at welterweight anyways by beating Sandy Ryan in a very close fight. It was a majority decision. Could have gone either way. The 97-93, although it was very wide, it kind of makes sense for if you saw the rounds. It was very close. And really, there was a bunch of rounds that, you could give it to the other person and people would be like, okay, I see it. Yeah, I see it. But the way the rounds went was that both of them were just landing good shots, right? But it was Mayer that was really doing more at the end of the round, kind of stealing them to say, and overall ending the fight strong. I think she did that. I think that's what won her the fight, and that's why it's such a good fight. This fight, it could go the other way. It could be Ryan the one that ends up finishing stronger than Mayer, right? A lot of the rounds were just anyone's to win. It was that close. It was Mayer the one that dug deep. For all we know, Ryan might be the one that digs deep this fight. That whole paint situation, that definitely probably messed with her confidence, her timing. Might happen, but I do think Michaela Mayer wins this fight again because Mayer had the more eye-catching shots. Ryan was kind of the one that landed her shots, and you could tell that she landed her shots, but it was when Mayer landed her big shots, you're like, damn, she landed her big shots, right? And I do think that's what ends up winning her another decision over Sandy Ryan. But it's a close fight. It's really, I guess, anyone's to win. It's that close. But it will be another action-packed fight. And besides that, I have Brian Norman Jr. beating Derek Cuevas by decision, and Michaela Mayer beating Sandy Ryan once again, defending her WBO Welterweight Championship. But besides that, what do you guys think? Leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, and see you in the next one.